Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste everyone. Welcome to day 4 of the Navaratri Sadhana. We will begin our sadhana as usual with the Omkara and moving on to Pranayama. Let's take a moment, if you haven't already done so, to light your lamp or candle. If you have. Sit comfortably, preparing ourselves for practice. Sitting comfortably, spine get comfortably, shoulders relaxed. If you're sitting on a chair or in an elevated place, place your feet firmly on the ground. If you're sitting cross-legged, allow yourself to be comfortably positioned. Body soft, face soft. Become aware of your body. Very gently bring your awareness to your breath. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling deeply through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. One more time. The Omkaras. Inhaling deeply through your Omkara. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah Harihi Om. Om Ganana Anta Ganapati Bhavamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashvanvannoti Bhisida Sadhanam Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Bhirvajinivati Hinama Vitrevatu Ano Devo Brihataf Parvatada Saraswati Yajatagantu Yajnam हवं देवी जुजुषाणा वृताची शग्मा नो वाचमुषति शृणोतु वाग्देव्यै नमः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Preparing ourselves for pranayam. Before we move on to our Surya Veda and Chandra Veda today, I would like you to have 3 rounds of deep breathing. Just take 3 deep breaths, inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply through your nostrils. We will then move on to 2 rounds of Bastrika, if you're familiar with them. Inhaling deeply and exhaling deeply as well. We will now perform 3 rounds of Kapalbhati. The first round of Kapalbhati, shining breath, will have 10 reps, 10 abdominal hits. We'll do just 10. Even if you have a stronger practice. So the first round will have 10, the second round will have 20, and the third round will have 30. That's all we will do. Sitting comfortably, preparing for Kapalbhati. Exhale gently. Inhale deeply. 10 reps. Inhale deeply and sit comfortably after 10. Your spine straight and soft. Second round, 20. Exhale gently. Inhale deeply. 20 hits. Keep your brow clear. Soften your eyes. Exhale gently. Inhale deeply. Round 3 of Kapalbhati, 30 hits. Finish off Kapalbhati with 2 cleansing breaths. Inhaling deeply through your nostrils, exhaling long and slow through your mouth. Moving on to Surya Vedana. Vishnu Mudra or Nasakra Mudra. Be mindful to keep your neck neutral and soft. And focus on remaining still physically while you breathe. Three rounds of Surya Vedana. And sit comfortably with your palm in your lap. When you're ready for it, 3 rounds of Chandra Vedana. Relax your shoulders. Relax your neck. We move on to Nadi Shodhana. Nadi Shodhana. Today, once again, the first round with your mudra. So we will do 2 rounds with your mudra, followed by 2 rounds without your mudra. Or actually 3 and 3, you do 6 otherwise. So 3 with your hands and 3 rounds without your hands. At the end of your practice, place your palms gently in your lap. Become aware of the sensations. Become aware of the flow of your breath. Any changes? Become aware of the change in temperature, change in quality, the subtleness of the breath. Become aware of the gentle difference between breath and prana. Before we move into mantra sadhana, I'd like you to bring to mind a few questions. Ask yourselves, who am I? What do I want? What do I really want? What is my purpose? What is my swadharma? How can I help? How can I serve? What am I grateful for? What am I thankful for? Now bring to mind all your teachers and elders, all the people who have taught you, who have brought you so far along in your spiritual journey. Bring to mind your parents, your siblings, your friends, acquaintances who've taught you lessons along the way. People and incidents who may have challenged you. People and incidents that may have taught you grace and compassion. Bring in all the beings in the universe, plants, animals, rocks, the elements, beings and creation beyond what you even thought existed. All of existence that you know of, and everything that possibly exists that you really do not know anything about. See if you can invoke a feeling of gratitude for all of this. And it's okay if you don't feel it immediately. Just think it. And with your next breath, take all of these thoughts as if it lifts like a bubble and release it out into the universe. See it floating up above you and away from you. And in this space of gratitude and compassion, bring to mind your mantra. If you've been initiated in your Guru mantra, please mentally repeat that. If you do not have a Guru mantra, you've not been initiated, mentally chant Om. Gradually move on to chanting your mantra, both on the inhale as well as the exhale. Continue meditating gently. I'll watch the time and let you know when we move on to the next phase of mantra sadhana. Very gently let go of your mantra. Sit comfortably. 32 names of Maa Durga, repeated thrice. Om Durga Durgartishamani Durga Padvinivarini Durga Machedini Durga Sadhini Durga Nashini Durga Todharini Durga Nihantri Durga Mapaham Durga Madnyanada Durga Daitya Lokadavanala Durga Ma Loka Durga Matma Swarupini Durga Marga Prada Durga Mavidya Durga Mashrita Durga Madhyana Sansthanam Durga Madhyana Bhasini Durga Moha Durga Maga Durga Martha Swarupini Durga Masura Samhantri Durga Mayudharini Durga Mangi Durga Mata Durga Mya Durga Meshwari Durga Bhima Durga Bhama Durga Bha Durga Darini Om Durga Durgartishamani Durga Padvinivarini Durga Machedini Durga Sadhini Durga Nashini Durga Todharini Durga Nihantri Durga Mapaha Durga Madnyanada Durga Daitya Lokadavanala Durga Ma Loka Durga Matma Swarupini Durga Marga Prada Durga Mavidya Durga Mashrita Durga Madhyana Sansthanam Durga Madhyana Bhasini Durga Moha Durga Maga Durga Martha Swarupini Durga Masura Samhantri Durga Mayudharini Durga Mangi Durga Mata Durga Mya Durga Meshwari Durga Bhima Durga Bhama Durga Bha Durga Darini Om Durga Durgartishamani Durga Padvinivarini Durga Machedini Durga Sadhini Durga Nashini Durga Todharini Durga Nihantri Durga Mapaha Durga Madnyanada Durga Daitya Lokadavanala Durga Ma Loka Durga Matma Swarupini Durga Marga Prada Durga Mavidya Durga Mashrita Durga Madhyana Sansthanam Durga Madhyana Bhasini Durga Moha Durga Maga Durga Martha Swarupini Durga Masura Samhantri Durga Mayudharini Durga Mangi Durga Mata Durga Mya Durga Meshwari Durga Bhima Durga Bhama Durga Bha Durga Darini Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Devi Suktam. Om Devim Vachamajanayanta Devaha Tam Vishwarupah Pashavo Vadanti Sano Mandre Shamur Janduhana Dhenurvagasmanu Pasushputaitu Yadvagvadantya Vichetanani Rashtri Devana Anyashasada Mandra Chatasra Ujanduduhe Payagumsi Vasvidasyaf Paramanjagama Anantamantadabhinirmitam Mahim Yasya An Deva Adadhurbhojanani Eka Aksharan Dvipadagum Shatpadancha Vachan Deva Upajivanti Vishve Vachan Deva Upajivanti Vishve Vacham Gandharva Pashavo Manushya Aha Vachima Vishva Bhuvananyarpita Sanohavanjushatam Indrapatni Vagaksharam Prathamajartasya Vedanam Matamritasya Nabhihi Sano Jushanopayagnamagat Avanti Devi Suhavame Astu Yam Rishayo Mantrakrito Manishinaha Anvaichan Devas Tapasashramena Tan Devim Vachagam Havishaya Jamahe Sano Dadhatu Sukritasya Loke Chatvari Vak Parimita Padani Tani Vidur Brahmana Ye Manishinaha Guhatrini Nihitane Gayanti Duriyam Vacho Manushya Vadanti Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Whenever you're comfortable, gently get your palms, Namaskara Mudra. Allow the tips of your thumbs to gently touch the center of your chest. Very slowly lower your head, forehead reaching towards your fingers. Gently rub your palms till they're nice and warm. Place them on your eyes and across your face, looking into your arms as you into your palms, as you very gently open your eyes. Namaste, everyone. Today's practice is very closely tied to the goddess in the form of the mother who we celebrate today. Her name is Maa Kushmanda. Kushmanda. This is who she is. Although it shows here that she is riding what we see to be a tigress because of the stripes in this image. She's also shown as one who rides a lioness, okay, who sits on a lioness as she approaches. She's also known as the Ashtabhuja Devi. Anybody would know? You want to take a guess? For those of you who've done Samskritam with me or in the Sadhaka enrichment. Ashta would mean what? 8. Okay. Bhuja are her arms. She's a goddess with 8 arms, Ashtabhuja. Okay. But in particular, she is one who radiates a lot of warmth. Okay. She is known to be the goddess or the energy behind all creation, the creation of the universe, of everything. It is said in the Devi Bhagavatam and in the Tantric tradition, and in the Devi tradition, and the Shakta stories as well, that the universe was created with the flicker of a smile of Maa Kushmanda. She smiled and the earth was created. And if you know that from many of the other stories that we have from various traditions, we know that between Shiva and Shakti, between Purusha and Prakriti, or from even if it's Brahman, and not necessarily Brahman and Maya, so the analogy doesn't really fit in, but Purusha and Prakriti, Shiva and Shakti, we know that Shakti and Prakriti are that entity or that energy that move, that create. For all of creation, you need that essence of warmth, of movement, of energy, of dynamic, kinetic movement, and that only comes from that which creates. And that creative force is the force of the mother. And even in our own biology, we know that even though you have a father and a mother, or you have a sperm and an egg, it is the mother that holds that creation. So the center, the seat of manifestation, the seat of creation is Maa Kushmanda, and that's the energy she brings in. Without that creative energy, nothing is possible. She is known as that heat, or that essence of creativity or creation, because her name in itself, okay, I'll come back to this. Her name, Kushmanda, okay, has three parts. There is Ku with a small U, the short U, Ku, not Ku. The second section, the second part is Ushma. Ushma, those of you who've done Ayurveda with me, we've known of the word Ushna. Ushna, Ushne is also in many Indian languages, especially in South Indian languages, but it's there in all Indian languages which are derived from Sanskrit. Ushna, Ushne means heat. Ushma means warmth. And Anda is egg. It's there even in colloquial Hindi. So Ku means little, small. Ku plus Ushma, not Ushma. So the U of Ku and the U of Ushma, when they join, it becomes an elongated, long U. So it becomes Kushma. Then Ma ends in A, the short A, the first Akara. And Anda has Akara. Two short Akaras will make it Anda. So the name is formed as Kushmanda. Okay, so Maa Kushmanda means that little that egg of cosmic energy, or the warm cosmic egg. Okay, what is that cosmic egg? That egg which holds the creation of the entire cosmos, the entire universe. Everything arises from Maa Kushmanda. That warmth in her is also said to be giving the heat and the warmth, the heat of the sun. She is said to be the provider of energy for Surya Dev. And she is also said to be residing in the center of the sun. Okay. So from that initial, what we say as the creative spark, when all the universe was created, before that, and we know this, it's in many cultures as well, but we say before creation, that primordial soup was just darkness. First, there was no light. Then there was light. So even in the Bible, they use that, right? First, there was nothing, and then there was light. And we have that in our Puranas, in our Shrishti Utpatti forever. There was nothing at first. And that was in that moment of pralaya as well, when everything was dissolved. And this is not one, it's cyclical. It's not that there was just one creation of the universe, multiple creations of the universe. There is a day and night for the creation to the dissolution, and then there's another creation as well. So there are different yugas, there are different times, it's all cyclical. So if we're looking at one of those that we exist today, there was the nothingness, and then it is Maa Kushmanda's smile, if you have to say, that light was created. And from that light sprung up all the other multiverses all the other universes as well, within the universe that we live in, all the planets, all the stars, all the different suns, all of them that have the energy, then all the different beings. But where did they come from? From this universe, or before they were created, we have the three energies who we speak about usually. But the first of those three, okay, were we had Mahakali, who emerged from Kushmanda first, from her left eye. Okay, Mahakali, who is that ferocious form, okay, the ferocious to whom? Ferocious to us, but still a form of divine compassion. Compassion to help evil eliminate itself. So when we think, oh, she's here to eliminate evil, that means evil is bad and we're taking it out. No, it's like, it's the mother who reprimands a child from not doing the mischief for the sake of the mischief. She's not eliminating the child because she dislikes the child. She eliminates evil because she doesn't want evil to perpetuate. So I want you to actually gently shift the understanding of what is evil. Does evil need compassion? Yes, it does, because all things need compassion. All existence needs compassion and grace. So it is not to denigrate or put it down, but to say that this is a choice and I'm being compassionate towards that choice as well. I am the mother of the good and the evil. I am the mother. We normally say that, don't we? Adolf Hitler had a mother as well. Yet he did that choice. Doesn't mean that his mother wouldn't have loved him. Likewise, for all things that we consider today as evil and good, it's not that only the good deserves the grace and compassion of the mother, but even the evil does. Okay, so it's a very gentle shift in awareness. But Mahakali from the left eye, from her third eye, we came about Mahalakshmi. Okay, Mahalakshmi came about from her third eye, and from her right eye, we had Mahasaraswati. Okay, so these three came about by from the existence, from the origin of the other Devis. These are the Mahadevis. They're very different from Kali and Saraswati and Lakshmi. Okay, and when my teacher, Swami Dharmakirti, those of you who have seen her, who've met her, I've shared her pictures before. So she was the one who taught us this, and it was some years ago. We took, I think, 12 days to just go through the different stories and the different understandings of it. So initially, even for me, it was quite confusing. What are you talking about? How does it look? What is the difference? So there are subtle differences, but the differences are not between just the images that we see. It's not the iconography. It is a subtle energy. There's an energetic difference. So I'm just letting you know today, just the very topical understanding that from Maa Kushmanda, who created the universe, even the fundamental energies of the goddesses, the divine mother, emanated from Maa Kushmanda. Okay, so we had Mahalakshmi, we had Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. And from these goddesses, from this energy of these three, we had Brahma and Saraswati come by, we had Lakshmi and Vishnu come by, and we had Shiva and Parvati. So all of these final consorts who we have seen, who we understand today, have also arisen from these Devis. So what this is trying to indicate are two things. One is that all of divinity, all of the energy of the cosmic organization, that is the creator, the sustainer, the destroyer, right? Both in terms of the masculine and feminine energies were also created by the mother. Okay, what we would otherwise consider as a binary, because we do not understand that they are all expansive and beyond binaries, but for our ability to perceive, for our limited perception, for our limitation in how we perceive things, we have this comprehensive separation, if you see, comprehensive separation of energies, so we understand. Okay, for this, or within Kushmanda, when we say that she is the giver and the creator of everything, she is also the giver of all the different gifts and the boons that we have. We have the Ashta Siddhis that we have, that we know from the Yoga Sutras, the different Siddhis that a sadhaka will eventually gain if they keep steady with their practice. And also the Navanidhis, right? The 9 different gifts that you would receive. So she's a giver of all of these wounds. But to whom? To a genuine seeker and someone who puts in the tapas. So that's the second part of what we're trying to say here. Kushmanda, that warmth of that cosmic energy, that warmth, and the creator of all of these different, the Devis, the different energies of the Devis, the different energies of the other divinities, all of them, if they are within us, with that heat of the tapas, with the heat of our own earnest perseverance and the effort that we put in, Maa Kushmanda can create, can facilitate, and can actually give us the boon of experiencing and receiving all of these gifts. So I want you to go back to the practice that we began with today. Before we began pranayama, before we set the ball rolling for pranayama, we brought to mind certain things, right? We brought to mind certain things. Before we went deeper into the mantra sadhana, again, we invited our thoughts to intentionally be directed towards gratitude, towards what we want, what we desire. Because if you do not attend to certain good desires, okay, and there are good desires and there are desires that you need to really cull and stay away from, and that's why you practice with easier things like coffee, right? Or Netflix, whatever is your poison at this point in time to eliminate. But you work with those so that you bring in that element of tapas. So you bring in all of those, right? So you need to have those desires so that you recognize what desires you really need to actively keep aside and what desires are suitable for you to cultivate. As a sadhaka, when you're we are all beginning, okay? As beginners, you do not tell yourself, I am going to completely remove all of these thoughts from my mind. I am going to completely go, stop. Yes, some things you say, cold turkey. Not always. There are some desires that you need to have. And at this stage, you can't, when you're beginning, that's not the time when you say, okay, then I'm not even going to do any japa, or I'm not going to do any asana. I'm not going to do any of these because what's the point? I don't want to be attached to my practice. At this point, your practice is a good attachment to have. Your practice is going to take you towards your chitta shuddhi that you need to aspire. Without chitta shuddhi, you cannot get to the next stage of a prepared mind to receive higher knowledge. So in the desires that you have one option to say, I'll just sit and watch TV for 6 hours. It just numbs my brain. I don't think of anything. I'm just mindlessly and aimlessly watching. Is that meditation? I'm not sleeping. I'm alert. I know what's happening, but I'm not engaged. Or you show up to sit with your eyes closed. I say sit with your eyes closed. It's very different from what meditation actually is. So we normally say sit, okay, I meditate daily for half an hour, sometimes 1 hour. Are you really meditating? You're just sitting with your eyes closed and you're thinking, what do I have for dinner? What do I have for breakfast? Oh, I have that meeting tomorrow. Because someone else can't read your thoughts. But what you're doing is you're sitting with your eyes closed. You're just sitting with your eyes closed, telling yourself you're meditating. You've got the inside timer set. It's going to ping and say, that's it. I clocked in 30 minutes of meditation. You did not. You did not clock in 20 minutes of meditation. You may have clocked in 30 seconds collectively. You may have dipped in, you may have dipped out, and you must have, because when you are hitting that moment of, of pure consciousness, you're not aware because your senses don't work there. So you don't really know how much time you have consciously put in to being in that state of bliss, in that state of Satchit Ananda, in that state of Ananda. As long as you're aware that my mind feels calm, you're not meditating. Okay? So all of this is important because Maa Kushmanda is the giver of these wounds. So what I'm trying to say over here is that when you're showing up to your daily practice, when you're showing up to your daily sadhana, remember that you have all the limitations of failing. And when you come in with acknowledging that I am this person, this being full of limitations, then let me cultivate better desires. Let me cultivate better boons, better habits. And those are tapped in with Maa Kushmanda's grace. Because if you see yourself as a universe, see yourself as a universe that contains everything else that we see otherwise as a universe, then you are being created by Maa Kushmanda. And everything that you seek is also being created within you. So what we're doing is we are extracting from this cosmic story and applying it to ourselves. We're not looking without, we're looking within. We are superpositioning or impressing upon us the same story of creation and invoking that divine goodness upon our own selves in our own practice. What are all of these stories for? The stories are not they're not to say, oh, you know, I mean, that's so creative. Can you imagine all of these stories being created so many years back in that third world developing country called India? We did that. We had all of these stories. But those stories are not just stories. They're not legends. They are not a figment of our imagination. They are stories, yes, that are intended to nudge our spiritual awakening. They are stories that at every level, no matter how young you are, because they are told to many as children, right? They are, and children who have no critical filter, children who are open to the story, the mythology, because they become it. And when you listen to it, and that's why the culture itself, the tradition itself is where our elders tell us these stories. And you listen to them, and that's how this entire civilization is a civilization which still pulsates with Shraddha, Bhakti, and faith. Yes, to some extent, many of us have been distanced from understanding these stories deeply. And we do have a whole group of people, and that's universal, where that faith has shifted to blind faith. But that does not mean that faith was not intended to be pure. And now, as we are seekers, then we need to understand the difference between faith and blind faith. And we need to choose faith. Faith based on logic, faith based on reasoning, faith that is also based on acknowledging that we ourselves have limited understanding at this point in time, and that if I don't understand something right now, it does not mean that it is just a story, get over it. But it means that it's an opportunity for us to say, okay, I don't understand it completely. I may have to sit with this longer. I need to study this longer. I need to reach out to my teachers longer. Once again, a little bit more. That is where Shraddha and Bhakti come in. And for the manifestation of everything that we require in our lives, that we need, not want, but wants are also given by the mother. So remember, we spoke about this yesterday. Be careful what you ask for. You need to be prepared for what you receive. So if you're just looking for a want that you don't need, then be prepared to be dissatisfied. And don't, pass the buck, or don't put the blame on someone else. Don't say, oh, Maa Kushmanda didn't actually read my mind. Did you read your mind? So taking ownership, being in charge, knowing what you want, these are all different attributes of a sadhaka. You need to know why you are on this path. You're not following the trend. You've got leaders and you've got followers. And today we've got all sorts of leaders. Open up Instagram and I can tell each of you, because I know almost all of you personally. And I know many of you follow leaders who are not worthy of being leaders. And many of you have heard me say this before and you still follow them. For whatever. I mean, that's your choice. But what does that make you as a follower? Are you a blind follower or are you a conscious follower? When you have red flags being shown in front of you and you have a choice between a deeper spiritual understanding and just wasting your time. Again, what's the choice you're making? You need to be clear about what you're doing and why. You need to question your choices. And you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because if it doesn't give you a deeper spiritual understanding, deeper spiritual, not political. If it doesn't give you a deeper spiritual grounding, then your wants are not deep enough, let alone your needs. Are you moving on your spiritual path on a very superficial level? Or is your spiritual focus deeper? How deep are your roots? How deeply do you want to cultivate those roots? That grounded focus is something you can receive from Maa Kushmanda today. Because she gives you those different siddhis that help to nourish your spiritual growth. I usually don't give assignments during sadhana, but I think it's a good time for you to go and read up, if not find out about the Ashtasiddhis, the Navanidhis, and see what they are. And go and find out for yourselves. Those of you who've studied this with me, you may have heard this. So refresh it. You can go through your notes again and find out, what does Aishwarya mean? What does Bhagwan mean? Sadhana is not just for this 1 hour, it's beyond. You need to do a little bit of homework yourselves. And I will leave you with that for today. I leave you with a lot of love and blessings always. But I think today, I don't know, I just had this feeling. I ask of it as well. I ask you to share that towards me as well. I've got a family. I've got my 3 children, and I've got my 2 dogs. I've got my partner. I've got my mother, my brother, my sister, my niece, and my nephew. They are my immediate family. I know many of you. I know your families, some of them. I think today, send that out to us, who at least you see me every day. It'll be nice to receive as well. Okay. I leave you with a lot of love and grace from the Divine Mother, from Maa Kushmanda, from Devi. And I will see you all tomorrow with another aspect, another facet of the Divine Mother and how she shows up in all our lives, regardless of what we may have done that day. We'll see you all tomorrow. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste. Have a very pleasant day or evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much.